More than 100 days and 75 years. 100 days of the highest rate of civilians slaughtered in the 21st century. Israel killing more than 10,000 children in what UNICEF has called a graveyard of children. 100 days of dropping 2,000-pound bombs hundreds of times on the very spaces families were crammed to seek shelter, murdering them in an ever-shrinking killing cage in sheer cruelty and deliberate destruction of life. 100 days of burning children's flesh down to the bone with illegal white phosphorus, and of destroying 400,000 homes to rubble and forcibly displacing 2 million people, 90% of the population, of bombing 320 schools so children in Gaza have no access to an education, ensuring lost generations, of destroying the healthcare system and decimating nearly every hospital, bombing them with patients in them and systematically targeting 637 doctors and healthcare professionals, an entire class of medicine, while injuring 60,000 so that they succumb to their wounds and die slow, painful deaths. Not enough to massacre them in their homes, but to massacre them in their hospital beds. 100 days of bombing bakeries and purposefully burning food while denying aid trucks in, so an entire civilian population of 2.3 million is mass starved. 80% of those starving in the world in Gaza, 9 out of 10 people in Gaza sleeping without eating, with Israel using starvation as a weapon of genocide on 1 million children. 100 days of killing more than 100 journalists, the highest number of journalists murdered in history. Destroying 169 press offices while banning uncensored foreign journalists in so no one can report the truth from Gaza. 100 days of Israel cutting off telecom and internet services while it burns entire communities alive, killing families in the dark. Only 6 ambulances left to save a population of 2.3 million. 100 days of destroying the world's oldest churches, mosques, universities, historical archives to erase a people's culture and their history. 100 days of target assassinations of Gaza's best and brightest, its leading poets and civic activists, its preeminent scholars and scientists, its leading public intellectuals, to kill any prospect of a people's future. 100 days of erasing 1,400 multi-generational families from civil registries, grandparents, parents, children and babies, sniping at women sheltering in churches, pulverizing cemeteries, raising caskets, desecrating the living and the dead, executing children, holding white flags in cold blood in front of their parents and parents in front of their children, field executions of innocent civilians, stripping them, thrusting their bodies on top of one another like cattle, sexually assaulting the elderly, the disabled, men, women, and children, burning their bodies with lighters, electrocuting them, crushing their bones. 100 days of forcing thousands of mothers to undergo C-sections without anesthetics, to torture the living to death. 100 days of blowing limbs off 9,000 children, and cruelly forcing thousands to undergo amputations without anesthetics. 100 days of orphaning 25,000, creating a generation of traumatized children without parents. 100 days of collapsing neighborhoods on families' heads in their sleep, as they shelter in UN schools after being forcibly displaced from their homes, children's bodies crushed beneath rubble, soldiers laughing and filming themselves as they press the button to wipe out entire blocks on children's heads, as though human lives are a game that they play. The sadism and sense of impunity and hatred for innocent life like, knowing no likeness in our lifetime. 100 days of them telling the world what they are doing in horrifying language, followed by action at the highest levels and across society. Language that we heard in the worst horrors of human history, speaking of annihilating a people and of human animals. And that is why the world is marching with Palestine, because it's impossible to know the truth as a human being of conscience and to uphold this for human life. 100 days of the first genocide in history, where its victims are broadcasting their own destruction in real time in the desperate, so far vain hope that the world might do something. This can never be self-defense.